On this day in history, we remember the remarkable individuals who shaped our world. Welcome to Who Died Today in History, where we honor their legacies. From artists to leaders, their impact lives on. If you find their stories meaningful, like, subscribe, and hit the bell to stay connected. Betty Ford, former First Lady of the United States, died of natural causes on July 8, 2011, at the age of 93, in Rancho Mirage, California. Her passing marked the end of a life that transcended the traditional role of a political spouse and instead defined a new era of openness, advocacy, and courage in public service. As First Lady from 1974 to 1977, during her husband Gerald Ford's presidency, Betty Ford broke taboos that had long silenced women, particularly those in the public eye. She spoke candidly about breast cancer after her diagnosis and mastectomy in 1974, a time when such topics were shrouded in stigma and rarely discussed publicly. Her courage in addressing women's health issues reflected the growing feminist movement and a shift in American society toward openness, equality, and personal agency. Her death came after decades of public advocacy, particularly in the field of substance abuse and recovery. Following her own struggle with alcoholism and prescription drug addiction in the late 1970s, Ford co-founded the Betty Ford Center in 1982. The center became one of the nation's most respected institutions for addiction treatment and helped deconstruct the shame associated with substance use disorders. Her activism in this area helped humanize addiction and inspired a national conversation that endures today. The immediate response to her death was one of profound respect. Tributes from presidents, public figures, and health advocates poured in, recognizing her legacy as a trailblazer for women's rights and health advocacy. She was honored with a ceremonial funeral attended by dignitaries and family, underscoring the unique position she held in American memory, not just as a First Lady, but as a humanitarian force. Betty Ford's death did not shift political history in the way the death of a wartime leader might, but it highlighted an evolution in American values: the right to speak openly, to heal publicly, and to fight stigma with empathy and education. Her life and passing remind us that legacies are not only forged in high office or dramatic moments, but also in the quiet courage of truth-telling and advocacy. We remember Ford through the ongoing work of her namesake center, biographies, and continued tributes. Her legacy endures in the increased visibility of women's health, the normalization of recovery, and the belief that personal vulnerability can fuel public good. Vivien Leigh, the British actress immortalized by her role as Scarlett O'Hara in Gone with the Wind, died on July 8, 1967, at the age of 53. Her death from tuberculosis, an illness she had battled intermittently for years, was natural, yet poignant, as it underscored both the fragility and intensity that marked her life and career. Leigh's struggle with physical and mental illness, including bipolar disorder, reflected a broader silence in mid-20th century society regarding the toll of fame and the hidden burdens borne by women in the public eye. Leigh's era was defined by both rigid gender expectations and the mystique of Hollywood glamour. She navigated both with poise and rebellion. Off-screen, she challenged societal norms through her tempestuous relationship with Laurence Olivier and her determination to pursue serious stage work, despite being pigeonholed as a cinematic beauty. Her death, though not unexpected due to her declining health, brought to a close a chapter of classic British theatre and Golden Age Hollywood, where talent often came with a personal cost hidden from public view. The immediate response to her passing was reverent. Tributes poured in from both stage and screen communities, acknowledging her as not only a film icon, but a serious Shakespearean actress. Her ashes were scattered on the pond at her home in East Sussex, an understated end to a life lived in the glare of public adoration and private struggle. Leigh's death did not redirect history as the loss of a monarch or statesman might have, but it cemented her legend in the cultural memory. Her performances, fierce, vulnerable, and haunting, gained new meaning in light of her personal hardships. The endurance of Gone with the Wind, despite its complex racial and historical legacy, has further immortalized her image as a symbol of old Hollywood's complex legacy, glamorous, flawed, unforgettable. What Leigh's life and death reveal is the enduring tension between image and reality, power and vulnerability. Her memory is preserved in biographies, documentaries, and retrospectives, which increasingly highlight not just her art, but her humanity. In remembering Vivien Leigh, we confront a deeper cultural fascination with beauty, madness, and the pressures of legacy, reminding us that some stars burn brightest in their briefest moments. Ernest Borgnine, the beloved American actor known for his versatility and affable persona, died of kidney failure on July 8, 2012, at the age of 95. His passing was natural, the quiet conclusion to a long and vibrant life in the public eye. Unlike many stars whose careers dim as they age, Borgnine remained active into his 90s, embodying the enduring spirit of mid-century American entertainment. Borgnine rose to prominence in the post-World War II era, an age when Hollywood was evolving rapidly, grappling with shifting public tastes and a growing appetite for stories that embraced realism. His breakout role as the lonely butcher in Marty, 1955, earned him an Academy Award for Best Actor and signaled a departure from the glamorous, polished leads of the previous decade. Borgnine brought a working-class authenticity to his roles, and in doing so, reflected the democratic ethos and social consciousness of 1950s America, a country reshaping itself after war and bracing for the civil and cultural transformations ahead. His death did not send shockwaves through history in the way political assassinations or untimely overdoses might have, but it marked the quiet fading of a generation of actors shaped by war, stagecraft, and the golden age of cinema. The immediate response was heartfelt and respectful. Tributes poured in from peers and fans alike, honoring not only his longevity, but also the humility and joy he brought to his craft. His work in both drama and comedy, from The Wild Bunch to McHale's Navy, bridged cinematic eras and won him admiration across generations. Borgnine's death underscores a poignant truth about mortality and fame. Not all legacies are forged in tragedy. Some are built, brick by brick, over decades of consistent, passionate work. His story reflects a value system where dedication, perseverance, and authenticity are celebrated, even if they don't always dominate headlines. In remembering Borgnine, we engage with a broader meditation on how we commemorate those who make us feel seen, how actors, through art, become part of our emotional history. Through film retrospectives, award show tributes, and the continued relevance of his performances, Ernest Borgnine remains a quiet giant in American storytelling, proving that a well-lived life can echo just as powerfully as a dramatic end. Naya Rivera, a talented actress and singer best known for her role as Santana Lopez on the hit TV series Glee, died tragically in a drowning accident on July 8, 2020, at the age of 33. She had taken her young son on a boating trip to Lake Piru in California, a place known for strong currents and limited visibility underwater. After Rivera and her son went swimming, only the boy was found alive, asleep on the drifting boat. Her body was recovered 5 days later following an extensive search effort. The coroner confirmed accidental drowning as the cause of death. Rivera's death resonated deeply across generations who grew up watching Glee, a series that helped redefine teen drama and brought LGBTQ+ stories into the mainstream. Her character Santana was not only bold and witty, but also one of the first openly lesbian Latina characters on primetime television, a milestone in media representation. The manner of her passing, a selfless act of ensuring her child's safety before succumbing to the water, underscored her role as a fiercely protective mother and highlighted themes of sacrifice, maternal strength, and vulnerability. The immediate aftermath of her death was marked by an outpouring of grief and tributes from fans, celebrities, and former castmates. Social media became a platform for mourning, remembrance, and reflection on Rivera's contributions to television and music. Her death also brought renewed attention to the dangers of Lake Piru, which has been the site of numerous drownings, prompting calls for improved safety measures. In the broader cultural context, Rivera's untimely passing became a poignant reminder of life's fragility, especially for public figures whose private lives often blur with their on-screen identities. Her legacy, however, lives on through her groundbreaking work. Tributes poured in via virtual memorials, fan art, and online performances of her iconic songs. In 2021, a college fund was established for her son, a tangible symbol of the support she inspired. Ultimately, Naya Rivera's death reveals how celebrity loss, especially when sudden and tragic, can echo beyond headlines. It challenges us to reckon with the unpredictability of life, the power of representation, and the lasting impact of art. Through performances that broke barriers and resonated deeply, Rivera is immortalized in the cultural consciousness. Her voice and spirit carried on through the stories she helped tell. Tony Sirico, best known for his portrayal of Paulie "Walnuts" Gualtieri on The Sopranos, died on July 8, 2022, at the age of 79. His death was reportedly due to natural causes after a period of declining health, including dementia. Though not violent or scandalous, his passing marked the end of a living link to one of television's most transformative eras. Sirico's career, particularly his embodiment of a wisecracking, devout, and occasionally ruthless mobster, reflected the cultural fascinations and tensions of late 20th century America, particularly the glamorization and critique of organized crime through entertainment. Sirico's own life mirrored the complex characters he portrayed. Before his acting career took off, he had multiple arrests and even served time in prison. That background lent authenticity to his roles and fed into the larger mythos surrounding The Sopranos, which aired from 1999 to 2007 and became a watershed in television storytelling. His portrayal of Paulie was both humorous and haunting, a representation of old-school loyalty and the unspoken trauma of violence. The immediate consequence of Sirico's death was an outpouring of tributes from fans and fellow actors. Cast members like Michael Imperioli and Lorraine Bracco praised his loyalty and unique presence both on and off screen. For many, his death felt like the symbolic closing of a chapter that reshaped modern television. The Sopranos didn't just entertain, it challenged audiences to empathize with morally ambiguous characters and wrestle with questions of identity, masculinity, and morality in a changing world. Sirico's death amplifies the legend of The Sopranos as a cultural artifact and reaffirms his role as an essential piece of its enduring legacy. Like the passing of James Gandolfini in 2013, his departure deepens the nostalgic and critical lens through which the series is now viewed. He is memorialized not only through reruns and retrospectives, but also through pop culture references, memes, and evolving critical analysis of the show's impact. His passing reminds us that mortality spares no legend, yet in memory, figures like Sirico transcend death. Art immortalizes their image, literature and commentary explore their legacy, and audiences continue to find meaning in their work. In doing so, we affirm our collective need to remember, reinterpret, and revere those who helped define an era. June Allison, the quintessential girl next door of 1940s and 1950s Hollywood, passed away on July 8, 2006, at the age of 88 from respiratory failure and bronchitis. Her death, due to natural causes, marked the fading of an era that cherished optimism, wholesomeness, and the idealized femininity she so often embodied on screen. Known for her sunny disposition and husky voice, Allison rose to fame during the golden age of MGM, starring in classics such as Little Women and The Glenn Miller Story. Allison's passing came at a time when the film industry was increasingly retrospective, grappling with how to honor its old guard in a world that now embraced darker, more complex narratives. Her death symbolized more than the loss of a beloved actress. It was the departure of a symbol of post-war American values: modesty, duty, and resilience. During and after World War II, audiences craved comfort, and Allison's performances offered precisely that, grounding audiences with her warmth and relatability. The immediate consequence of her passing was a surge of nostalgia and tribute from both fans and the film community. Unlike the public tragedies of stars who died young or under mysterious circumstances, Allison's long life and graceful exit allowed reflection without scandal. Her death did not shift the course of history, but it underscored the cultural shift from an era of idealized storytelling to one of complex realism. As America changed, so too did the roles offered to actresses like Allison, until she found herself gradually stepping away from the spotlight in the 1970s. Her legacy was further shaped by her real-life devotion to helping others, particularly her advocacy for stroke and incontinence awareness following her husband's illness. She used her fame not for spectacle but to promote dignity in aging and caregiving, issues often hidden in public discourse. June Allison's death invites us to consider how we remember those whose art soothed rather than shocked, whose power lay in subtlety. We immortalize her through Turner Classic movie reruns, memoirs, and the preserved memory of a Hollywood era defined by grace. Her passing reminds us that not all legends burn fast and bright. Some glow steadily, leaving a lasting warmth in their wake. Tab Hunter, born Arthur Andrew Kelm, passed away on July 8, 2018, just 3 days shy of his 87th birthday. He died from a cardiac arrest brought on by a blood clot in his leg that traveled to his lungs. Though natural, his passing marked the end of an era, not just of a beloved actor and singer, but of a man who had quietly challenged the rigid norms of Hollywood's golden age while living much of his life in the shadows. Hunter's death drew attention to the deeply rooted challenges of fame, identity, and conformity in mid-20th century America. A matinee idol in the 1950s, Tab Hunter was the epitome of the clean-cut American heartthrob. With his blonde hair and boyish charm, he was marketed as the perfect heterosexual male lead, but privately, he was a gay man in a time when being openly so could end a career. The pressure to maintain a fabricated public image was immense, and Hunter's life exemplified the sacrifices required to succeed in an unforgiving system. The immediate consequence of Hunter's passing was a renewed appreciation for his courage and honesty later in life. In 2005, he released his autobiography, Tab Hunter Confidential, which detailed the emotional toll of hiding his identity for decades. His story was later turned into a documentary of the same name, released in 2015, offering a powerful testament to the resilience of LGBTQ+ figures in Hollywood history. Hunter's death did not dramatically shift world events, but it amplified his legend in the context of a changing cultural landscape. As society continues to reevaluate the cost of celebrity and the importance of authenticity, Hunter's legacy serves as a bridge between a silenced past and a more open, inclusive future. His bravery in telling his truth late in life paved the way for younger artists to live more freely and openly. In the end, Tab Hunter's story reveals much about humanity's evolving relationship with fame, repression, and truth. We remember him not just for the roles he played on screen, but for the quiet strength he showed behind the scenes. His legacy lives on in film archives, in the pages of his autobiography, and in the cultural shift toward embracing identities once kept in the shadows. Larry Storch, best remembered for his comedic brilliance and beloved role as Corporal Randolph Agarn on the 1960s sitcom F Troop, passed away peacefully in his sleep on July 8, 2022, at the remarkable age of 99. His death, due to natural causes, marked the end of a long and multifaceted career that spanned vaudeville, television, stage, and voice acting. It also symbolized the fading of a generation of entertainers who brought laughter during some of America's most transformative and turbulent decades. Storch's death came at a time when the entertainment world was already reflecting on its legacy, questioning how comedy, character, and representation had evolved. He had been part of a post-war comedy scene that valued sharp timing, vaudevillian energy, and an unrelenting work ethic, values that shaped mid-century American entertainment. While he remained largely apolitical, his performances were a product of their time, reflecting the innocence, stereotypes, and patriotic sentiments prevalent in post-World War II media. Though his death did not cause national shockwaves like the assassination of a political figure might, it triggered an outpouring of affection and nostalgia from fans and fellow entertainers. Storch was one of the last living links to the golden age of television comedy. The immediate consequence of his passing was a renewed appreciation for the type of clean, character-driven humor that defined his work, a contrast to the often edgier tones of modern entertainment. Larry Storch's passing did not necessarily shift history, but it amplified the quiet legend he had built, one not of global fame, but of consistency, kindness, and resilience. His legacy is especially strong among fans of classic TV and animation, as he lent his voice to numerous Saturday morning cartoon characters, further endearing him to generations of children. His death invites reflection on mortality and memory. In an era defined by rapid media turnover, figures like Storch remind us of the value of longevity, humility, and the enduring power of laughter. We honor him not only in reruns of F Troop or animated series like Tennessee Tuxedo, but in the collective memory of an entertainment world that he helped shape, one joke, one character, one laugh at a time. Nelson Ellis, acclaimed for his portrayal of Lafayette Reynolds on HBO's True Blood, died on July 8, 2017, at the age of 39. His death was the result of complications from alcohol withdrawal, a tragic and revealing end that underscored the hidden personal struggles that can accompany public success. Ellis had long battled addiction, a reality known to few outside his inner circle, and his attempt to quit drinking without medical supervision led to heart failure, a quiet but powerful commentary on the stigma and silence surrounding substance abuse in the entertainment industry. Ellis's death reflected the era's ongoing reckoning with mental health and addiction, especially within the African American community and in Hollywood. The intense pressure to maintain a perfect image often prevents celebrities from seeking help, and Ellis's case was no exception. In the wake of his passing, his family made the bold decision to speak publicly about the cause, hoping it might serve as a cautionary tale and a call for compassion and awareness. The immediate consequence of his death was an outpouring of grief and admiration from fans and colleagues. Tributes highlighted not only his talent, but his gentleness and intelligence, qualities that defined his nuanced and groundbreaking role as Lafayette, a character who challenged stereotypes and brought queer Black identity to the forefront of premium television. Ellis didn't just play Lafayette. He gave the character depth and dignity, turning what could have been a caricature into a cultural landmark. Though Ellis's death did not shift the political trajectory of a nation, it did mark a poignant cultural loss. In a time when representation matters more than ever, His portrayal of Lafayette served as a beacon for those craving authenticity on screen. His passing amplified his legacy, drawing renewed attention to the emotional honesty and courage he brought to his roles. Nelson Ellis's story reveals how fragile the human experience remains, regardless of fame or talent. His legacy is kept alive not only through reruns and clips, but through the deeper impact of his work, visible in the characters now written with more complexity, empathy, and truth. We remember Ellis in the art he left behind and in the quiet strength he gave to audiences who saw themselves, perhaps for the first time, reflected in him.